Hello? Anybody there? Willie to Xylo. Willie to Ralph.
You have an incoming transmission.
On screen.
Hey, Jeff.
Whoa, Danny, you've never called during the show before. What's up?
I have an extra baseball ticket for tomorrow. Do you want to come?
Sounds good. You got the ticket, so I'll get the hot dogs. But I've got to finish half this review first.
What are you watching?
Garbage Pail Kids, the animated series.
Wait, there was a Garbage Pail Kids anime series?
Yup, and I'll give you guys the history segment right after the theme song.
Oh god, they never history segment.
I used to be a plain, ordinary film critic, but somehow weird stuff started happening around me. I found a childhood toy who rules an underground kingdom from out of my basement. I got a weird AI friend living in my TV. I fought a giant straight out of a kid's storybook and met a magical winter elf. But right now, I'm being forced to complete a checklist of TV and movie genres so I can save all of existence with the power of snarky film commentary.
The one good thing I can say about Ralph and Xylo being off seeing across the Spider-Verse and Nick being down for maintenance is that no one cares that I'm trying to put what we're about to see into context. Today, we're talking Garbage Pail Kids. That is a huge rabbit hole. Long story short, cartoonists Mark Newgarden and John Pound, under the direction of Art Spiegelman, yeah, the same Art Spiegelman behind the Pulitzer Prize winning graphic novel Mouse, that Art Spiegelman, we're working on a series of parody product trading cards for Topps called Wacky Packages. One of the cards in the last series of these cards was a spoof of Coleco's Cabbage Patch Kids. It was so popular that they decided to spin the Garbage Pail Kids off into their own trading card line. The warped, weird-half designs and gross-out humor was a huge hit with a certain type of kid. It wasn't long before it expanded to be so much more. T-shirts, a board game, small action figures. It wasn't long before Hollywood came calling, which was followed by 2 other phone calls, the first of which was from Coleco's lawyers. They were fine with the existence of Garbage Pail Kids when it was an upstart trading card set that didn't really compete with them. But now they had toys, games, and a TV series. The last of which was a feat that Coleco had failed to do beyond a pilot season 4 years prior. This was a whole new ball game, and they were going to fight it out in court. Topps had barely gotten off the phone, as it were, when the American Federation for Decency, which over time has morphed into the hate group the American Family Association, started complaining that the planned show was disgusting, but with its references to snot, puke, body horror, and stereotypes about the disabled. Of course, they threw in some plain old, dishonest, satanic panic era propaganda for good measure. This made sponsors pull out of the show. No network wants to air something if they can't sell advertising. Not wanting a repeat of the Dungeons & Dragons the animated series disaster, CBS said, "Goodbye, Garbage Pail Kids," and "Hello, extra half hour of Muppet Babies reruns." That's right, this cartoon, made for American Saturday mornings, did not air in the United States. It faced no such trouble in Canada, the UK, and parts of South America. but it's really made me wonder, what could this show possibly be like? Our story begins with an alien invasion. The captain is listening to the intelligence briefing, which says Earth should be an easy target. He turns on comms to see for himself. Only they're set to CBS and Garbage Pail Kids is on. He thinks it's real and gets the f out of there. Cue opening credits. After that, we start another story. Jimmy Olsen is buying some candy. To make sure no one else takes it if he can't actually afford to buy it, he licks the labels. Then a giant robot, Elvis, picks up the building. Jimmy runs out of there so fast, you'd think he changed his name to Barry Allen. Wait, Marv Wolfman wrote this cartoon, so that joke is in bad taste, even for me. Cut to the school's daily newspaper. Lois Lane is crumpling up another draft of her latest assignment. Who is wasting all the paper in the bullpen? She grabs the last page in the ream and starts again, only it's garbage too. She calls in Ned Nerd the janitor to clean up, only he can't do it. The mess has morphed into such a large pile of typewritten, repetitive gibberish that even Jack Torrance would find it excessive. She chastises him for not being more like Super Grover. Super Nerd. Clarky Boy says, "But Lois, I am." Before he can blurt out his secret identity, Jimmy comes running in, and he's coming in so fast that he accidentally knocks Lois and Clark out the window. Lois yells and screams for help. Ned struggles to change into his super nerd costume in midair. He manages right as Lois hits the awning and bounces into the air. He grabs her and takes her back to the bullpen. She's like, "Wait, what happened to Ned and why are you wearing his shoes?" Super Nerd says, yeah, I think I'll go look for him. Lois says, "Wait a minute. I didn't see him hit the ground and I didn't see him bounce. And he disappeared right when Super Nerd showed up. Probably nothing." Jimmy says, "In all that excitement, I almost forgot to tell you. Our totally not bootleg Lex Luthor guy broke out of prison again." Lois says, "Wait, what are you waiting for? Let's go investigate." Meanwhile, Ned is on patrol. He hears an evil, man-eating hell beast calling for help. A kitten. He wants to help, but he can't find a place to change into his costume. Well, nowhere apart from a dumpster. Of course, the garbage man comes while he's changing clothes, so when he gets out, he's blocks away. He ignores the giant robot stealing candy stores and smashing downtown until it squishes him. Then he gives up looking for the cat, which is fine by me. Almost every cat I've ever met has tried to murder me. Well, apart from the 3 that succeeded. That's right, folks, I've actually been dead since 1997. Of course, by now, Lois and Jimmy have tracked the Zord down and started interviewing it. Luthor brushes them off and says there's only one thing I need to lure Super Nerd into my trap. Lois asks, "What's that?" And of course, the robot grabs her. Jimmy is smarter than he looks and gets the hell out of there. Super Nerd, on the other hand, stays to fight the robot and gets the crap kicked out of him. Then he comes up with a plan. He chews some gum and pops it in the robot's eyes. Luthor has only one counter move: to launch missiles out of his neck, Pez dispenser style. Super Nerd grabs the robot's shoelaces and ties them in a knot. Considering how often this must happen to him, he seems shocked when the robot hits the ground. Lex Luthor comes out and, wait, he's green? I thought he was a stand-in for Luthor, not Brainiac. It doesn't matter. Luthuriac comes out holding Super Nerd's one true weakness. A glow-in-the-dark jump rope made of green licorice. He ties him up and drags him off to his evil amusement park. The green guy and Lois have that the villain reveals their whole evil plan moment. Then he says, you can either have all the toys, games, and candy you want with me, or I can put you in the popcorn death trap with Super Nerd. So, tied up above a giant stovetop popcorn that will cause an atomic explosion it is. Super Nerd says, we're dead. These ropes make me powerless. Lois says, licorice is food. I can eat our way out. It's my cheat day. They go to confront Lex. He says, you can't tell me what to do. Super Nerd says, you're right. Then he flies off. Lex gloats in victory. Then Super Nerd flies back in with Lex's mom. He's grounded for the next 5,000 years. There are a lot of other cartoons in this show. Most of them 10 to 20-second shorts. The other main one is, well, if you've ever wanted to see Peabody and Sherman's Improbable History only with fart jokes, this is your show. If not, well, I have to say, no! I was really psyched to review this one. Not just because it was one of the first big cases of lost media that was found, no. It was because over the years I'd heard that this was an attempt to do something a little more than a product-driven cartoon. I believed it because of the strength of some of the names on the writing staff. You had Linda Wolverton, who is probably best known for co-writing Disney movies like Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King. There was Paul Dini, who would go on to write some of the most fondly remembered episodes of Batman and Superman, the animated series. The particular cartoon I reviewed was written by Marv Wolfman, who is one of my favorite comic book writers. He's best known for his lengthy run on New Teen Titans, but he also did Marvel's Tomb of Dracula, and a stint on some really obscure book you've never heard of called Superman. Never heard of it. Anyway, I watched most of the other episodes, and I can say that, well, in this particular instance, on this particular show, all of these really talented people didn't really put any effort into this. It's like they didn't give a shit. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Yep, I am ready to go.
Incoming transmission.
Hey Jess, I just checked online. The game got canceled.
Maybe for you. I've got another game I could watch.
How?
Ever hear of Flintstones Little Big League?
No way I'm watching that.
Fine. Willie out. Our story begins with Fred looking for his bowling ball. Wilma moved it during spring cleaning and he is pissed off. Wilma says, Dino, fetch ball. And he does. It's in a hat box which bursts open and the ball crushes Fred's toes. Fred and Wilma bicker and argue. Fred storms off saying, I'm gonna go get Barney and we're gonna roll a few rounds. Wilma says, but Barney can't go bowling today. Fred says, nonsense. Chores on bowling day? That's against our religion. We have invented religion by now, right? Pebbles comes in to see what's wrong. And man, does she look weird. It's like the animator didn't know if they wanted to use baby Pebbles from the original series or teenage Pebbles from the Pebbles and Bam Bam show and split the difference. Fred goes outside and trips over all this furniture that Wilma had left out for Fred and Barney to paint. Dino starts licking it to make him feel better. Fred gets up and goes to the fence, where he is hit in the eye with a baseball. Barney approaches him in a baseball uniform. Fred says, you didn't hit me with this, did you? Barney says, nope. Fred says, good. Barney replies, Bam Bam did. I'm just the Little League coach. Fred says, so you got another DUI and now you have to do community service. Gotcha. Barney says, no, I want to spend more time with Bam Bam. I thought you, Wilma, and Pebbles would want to go to the game. I'll get the hot dogs. I can even get you great seats behind home plate with the mayor and everything. Fred says, the mayor? Who cares? Now, if it was the president or Captain Caveman, that'd be a whole other story. Fred goes home to mope in the living room. We're talking full on, staring at the wall while Stay by Lisa Loeb plays in the background. Pebbles is vacuuming. She says, Dad, we could always do something together. Fred says, yeah, let's go bowling. Pebbles says, but I'd rather play baseball. Fred says, listen, young lady, as long as you live in this house under my roof, you will never say that word again. You understand me? The next day, Wilma goes to talk to Betty. She says, we've got to fix things. Fred has become insufferable. He misses having Barney around, but he can't go anywhere without someone asking him to pull strings with Barney to get their kids on the baseball team. Somehow, he's worse than before. Betty says, well, I'm not sure I want to fix things. A more confident Barney has better performance in, never mind. I'll ask Barney if he has a spot for Fred on the team, but Barney's gotta stay in charge, okay? No other changes. Wilma says, fine by me, but we can't let Fred know this was our idea. At the stadium, Barney is running the team through a practice game. Betty stops by and says, how are things going? Barney says, oh, same old, same old. I've got a great job, a great team. Why, we could go behind the bleachers like we did in high school and the team would still be ready for opening day. Betty says, but what about Fred? Barney says, oh, I don't need him anymore. Betty says, but he's your best friend. Barney says, do friends slash each other's tires? I don't know how that bastard deflated a stone, but he found a way. Betty says, what if there was a way you could be friends with Fred again and coach the team? Don't you have some sort of assistant gig or something? Barney says, why didn't I think of that? I'll go ask him. Barney goes to Fred's house and interrupts him watching Eraserhead. Barney says, hey Fred, would you like to help the team? Fred says, no. Barney says, well, that's too bad because it's a really important job and you're the only one who could do it. Fred says, well, in that case, I'm in. Barney says, congratulations, Assistant Bat Boy Flintstone. Fred says, Assistant Bat Boy, get the f*** out of my house. The next day, Fred is called into Mr. Slade's office. He overhears Slade saying, no, a little young is fine as long as they're willing to put in the work. Fred thinks he's about to get fired again. Slate says, no, no, no. You're the best Bronto crane operator I've got. Look, I know you're pissed about Barney coaching the grocery store's Little League team. How would you like to coach my team? Fred responds with a resounding yabba dabba doo! Fred is so excited that he speeds home. He's pulled over by a police officer. He explains that he's the Little League coach. The officer says, okay, then I won't give you a citation if you promise to give my son a spot on the team. Fred says, that sounds like extortion, but okay. Fred goes home. He tries calling the local sports station to give them the news, but they hang up on him. Then he gets another call from Betty. He says, no, you can't talk to Wilma right now when you could be spying on me. Then he hangs up. Wilma says, Fred, you're being paranoid. Fred says, sorry, I can't take that chance. Pebbles asks if she can be on the team. Fred says, sorry, I can't take the chance of putting a girl on the team either. Do I look like Tom Hanks to you? Pebbles insists. So Fred says, fine, your job can be cheering on the team. Mr. Slate says we're called the Bedrock Brontos. So we'll go to Party City. We'll get you a costume. It'll be great. Pebbles says, but we already have a pet. Oh, never mind. Barney comes across Fred building a partition in the park. He says, hey, Fred, what are you doing? Fred says, I've got my own team now. Oh, what does it look like? Barney says, doesn't it feel great giving back to the community? Fred says, that's not why I'm doing it. Are you familiar with the old Klingon proverb that revenge is a dish best served cold? Barney says, whatever, Fred. Good luck with that. Fred goes to meet his team. Have you ever seen the Bad News Bears? No, not the remake, the original. Imagine that, only more incompetent. An entire team made up of Mr. Beans. That's what Fred is working with, and I bet it's because he gave them Cocoa Pebbles instead of Frosted Flakes. Since this is a Hanna-Barbera TV special, and we're at the halfway point, it's time for a montage. We get quite a few sight gags of Barney's team playing some near-perfect baseball, and Fred's team being complete coprolite. Fred is called into the boss's office. Slate says, look, I know we're still in working hours, but this team is important to me. Who's making the cut? Fred is in a bind because his two worst players are the police officer's son, who he has to let on the team, and Judge Shale's son. Shale happens to be Mr. Slate's BFF. Fred says, to be honest, the entire team sucks. I had to bench half of them. Slate says, well, fix it, or I'll give your job to somebody else. Fred says, I'm sure you'll have an easy time finding someone to take it for the whole nothing you pay me. Slate says, I didn't mean your coaching job. I meant your crane operating job. Fred is thrown out of the building before he can even call his union rep. On his way home, Fred accidentally rear-ends the cop. The officer grabs his license and says, follow me to the courthouse. Fred says, but I'm the Little League coach, remember? The cop says, yeah, I know. Fred says, what if I agreed to take your boy off the bench? The officer hands him back his license and says, did I say follow me to the courthouse? I meant go home, Mr. Flintstone. When he gets there, he finds Judge Shale waiting for him. He gives him a very similar spiel. Imagine if the judge from Ghostbusters 2 forgot got to go to anger management classes for a few weeks. But when Fred caves, he's like the honeycomb monster after breakfast. Fred explains how his day's been. Wilma says, come on, coaching a team can't be that hard. If Barney can do it. Fred interjects, Bam Bam is a one-man team. Pebble says, but, Fred shouts, shut up, Meg! Remember that montage from earlier? I hope you liked it because we've got another one. Only this time, one of the kids hits the ball. It's foul, but Pebbles catches it. She throws it back so fast that Fred couldn't even see it. He asked her to do it again and she does all sorts of crazy stuff with it. So at long last, Pebbles is on the team. Fred comes up with the perfect way to keep this game-changing secret from Barney. They'll play softball inside in the room where Wilma stores all their fragile china. Betty calls. Fred makes Wilma hang up on her. He says, I won't have you talking to spies. So Betty starts to head over there, but Barney stops her. He says, I won't have you talking to the enemy. Betty says, but Wilma is my best friend. Barney says, not anymore, she's not. Fred and Barney do this sort of Childs and McCready routine. Then the Ice Age comes. Both unwilling to trust the other, they both succumb to a cold and icy death. The next day at the stadium, we're almost treated to a third rehash of that montage, but then Fred and Barney start doing this spy versus spy routine. When that doesn't work, they realize they've been going about this the wrong way. They shouldn't have been avoiding each other. The only way to be sure the other one isn't cheating is to be around each other every second of the day. When they eat, when they sleep. It's everything a Rule 34 enthusiast could ask for. It results in neither of them getting much sleep. They have to speed to get to the game. Since the usual cop is a good dad who actually attends his son's games, they get a different officer who escorts them to Judge Shale. At the stadium, both sides are getting pissed. Neither side can start without the coaches. At the courthouse, Judge Shale says, I've got to get to my son's baseball game, so the next two guys, guilty, 30 days, no probation. He looks down and sees Barney and Fred. He says, wait, aren't you two the coaches? Fred says, yeah. Shale says, sorry about that. The charges are dropped. I find myself in contempt. Let's get the hell out of here. Slate says, look, the crowd is starting to riot. Betty, Wilma, if you can just substitute coach, we can get started. They look confused and start acting like contestants who get eliminated in the first round of Next Level Chef, but somehow they manage. Shale, Fred, and Barney are stuck in traffic for hours. By the time they get there, the game has been going on for a 30-inning no-hitter. Bottom of the inning. 2 outs, 2 strikes. Bam Bam is at bat. He hits the ball and it goes into orbit. The ump says, we've got a case of Schrodinger's ball. It can't be considered a foul because it never came back, but it can't be counted as a home run either. And that was the last ball that we had. Bam Bam says, I'm okay with a tie if you are, Pebbles. And then we get, God damn it, a song about good sportsmanship. But that's it. That's the movie. Yes! As all 3 of my regular viewers know, I have a love-hate relationship with the Flintstones. The truth is, if you're willing to suspend your disbelief a little bit, the series is entertaining. Most of my problems with it come from bizarre spin-offs, absurd crossovers, a certain green guy, and the fact that there's an episode celebrating almost every major modern holiday. I'm not gonna say this is a brilliant cartoon or anything because it's not. But most of the jokes land. This special was made in the 1970s for prime time airing during the family hour. So the animation is of higher quality than most Hanna-Barbera material of the era. They knew eyes more discerning than children would be watching it. The only way I can see to improve the story would be to make Pebbles and Bam Bam's roles a little bigger. They feel like sidekicks in their own story. Also, I'm a sucker for Dino, but he's better in small doses, so it's probably better they kept him to the background.
I believe it is time to go.
Indeed,
What is your next episode?
our yearly Captain America adventure. Da-da, da-da, da, 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 da.
Jess wanted us to do a new outro. Do you want to help out, Gizmo? Like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Good boy, Gizmo. And remember, to really help this channel grow, visit patreon.com/ParodyErrorFilms and become a patron today.